Hey Scorpio, this is your bi-weekly reading going from December 12th for the new moon in Sagittarius in tropical astrology to the full moon on December 26th. So, look at this one here. We are taking a look at a 2-week period of time to see what needs our focus and attention. Like, in what way, in what area of your life can you focus your time, energy, and attention that would be of the most benefit for your life overall? What would ripple out and affect your life in the best ways if you put some time and energy and attention into those things, right? So that's what we're essentially looking at. All right. If this is your first time joining me, welcome. Also, these are meant to be short, sweet readings to get us through, like, incrementally through the month. Sometimes looking at the month overall can feel like overwhelming, and am I really going to be able to pay attention to all of that for the entire course of the month? I do forgive the lighting at this time of day. It does take my beautiful, nice, normally very black background and turn it into kind of like a sparkly charcoal. But I needed to film at this time of day, so please forgive it. All right, so we're looking at the waxing phase of the moon. For those of you who are not so familiar, I won't go into it for those of you who are too much, but I will say this is a period of time where we're looking at, like, how can we build towards momentum, towards like what we want to move forward in our life. And so, like, people talk about planting seeds or setting intentions, those types of things, which I'm sure you've heard before. So this is what we're looking at for this period of time. Now, this particular 2-week period of time I feel is pretty unique. Like, this new moon, I think, is unique in a way because just a few hours later, we will have Mercury go retrograde. And no, I am not like one of those alarmist Mercury retrograde people. So if you've already rolled your eyes, just hear me out. This is a really practical period of time, right? We have Mercury retrogrades happen like 3 to 4 times a year. And so it's like, it's just a normal kind of, like, we can see it as like a flow, like another one of those undercurrents that happens in the background of our life. And it's almost like as if we were like driving through, let's say, I don't know, a 50-mile-an-hour area, and then suddenly you hit a school zone and you've got to slow way down, right? So in that case, like, that's kind of how Mercury retrograde is. It slows us down, maybe not necessarily for safety perhaps, but in a way, like, it has us take the time to review things, and it can feel really annoying. And for some people, it feels more than annoying. It can be exasperating. It just depends on your chart and how it happens to be hitting your chart at the time. But for all of us collectively, this is a time where we can really take some time to step back and observe, right? To do all the to revisit, revise this particular area of our life, right? And all areas, really. Like, it might not be happening where the Mercury retrograde is hitting your 4th house specifically, and we'll get into that in a second, but it might feel like just it's happening in other areas of your life. But either way, the energy overall is this kind of feeling of that slowing down. And you might wonder, well, how is that building things up if we're slowing things down? If we're trying to build momentum, how is the retrograde, like, adding to this? And the way that I'm looking at this is more like, it gives us a chance to get the clarity that we need so that as things move forward, when things start to speed up again, right? When the energy starts to pick up again in that way, that it's clear, it's revised, we were able to avoid maybe a bunch of mistakes that we would have made, and we're able to really build momentum much more quickly because of the work that we did in this particular phase, right? I hope that makes sense. Also, this time of year, like, regardless of whether you relate to the Gregorian calendar New Year, it's like we are going from 2023 to 2024. Collectively, as a society, we are turning this page, right? And so naturally, there is this time to, whenever there's a chapter ending, to review over, like, what have we just come through? And so I feel like there is this kind of energy that is very much like, let's step back and review how I feel or how I felt. Like, where was I hoping things to be, at the beginning of the year in this particular area of my life? Where is it now? How do I feel about that? Assessing things to get clarity and maybe pivot and make certain adjustments about where we want to go from here. For you, this is happening where it's being pointed out, at least for this 2-week period of time, is being pointed out for the 4th house, right? And this has to do with your physical home, like where you actually live, like where you live, your house, your sanctuary. the internal decor of the house, whoever lives with you in the house, right? These are the matters of the house. Now, the fourth house also has to do with our early childhood, like formative years, right? Also having to do with our parents. So this can, and our lineage in a way, right? Like our ancestry. And so there might be, for some of you, that might feel more appropriate, if that's what you're trying to, I like to give people like everything that's there so you know like how to relate this back, right? So with that, maybe even as far as like where you live, like the city, state where you live, whatever it is, like, do you feel happy here? Do you feel comfortable here? Does this like, or what tweaks need to be made in order to make it feel more like a sanctuary? What's happening inside the home for you? Or like, again, like where you live? Or is this bringing up, especially because of the holidays, is this bringing up because of like a lot of people are going to see family or family dynamics are coming up, and like, what does this maybe bring up in terms of like your close family, or maybe your parents or parental figures or guardians, like anybody who represents that really, what might this be bringing up in terms of that? Or for some of you, depending on what kinds of holidays you're celebrating, this could also be speaking to, your lineage, your ancestry in some way. Maybe there's a way that you're wanting to honor that differently, or move away from it if you feel like it's not healthy or a benefit in some way, right? So there are just things like that to consider. And then with that, we have the Queen of Swords. And, I think that for some of you, this really does have to do with the people that are involved with your fourth house, right? All the people that I just mentioned, and that there may be conversations or things that need to be, that you feel need to be said. And what I would say with the Queen of Swords coming in is a couple of things. Be sure that you are wielding your power wisely and not just being severing and cutting with your tongue, right? Because the Queen of Swords has immense strength, and like, I think she brings a lot of gifts, but at the same time, she can, on the other flip side, she can be really destructive with her words, very sharp, very cutting, very severing, and like queen bitch, right? And you want to be, and like queen cold, like ice queen, right? Like you want to be sure to be careful of that, especially because Mercury not only has to do with communication, has to do with a lot of other things, right? It's like the details, the fine print, the facts, being able to see things from both sides, both perspectives. But yes, it does have to also do with our communications. And I think that it would be wise to take the time necessary to really craft what it is that you are wanting to communicate so that you can do it in the most diplomatic and fair way possible, where you're being fair to yourself and to others. Now, for some of you, you may be in situations, or there may be something that you can feel like immediately that this is speaking to, where you're just like, I need to cut those cords, right? We do see that that is a part of her signification here, is like cutting cords that need to be cut. And if you're like, nope, I'm done, I'm clear on this, like this is what needs to go, then perhaps that is something that needs to happen. But I would say, do not act rashly. Be sure that you've done the work of processing your stuff for yourself so that you can be true to yourself, but also to handle the situation with, I would say, with grace, with diplomacy, but still with strength and clarity. That's the thing about her, is like she handles things, she'll speak about the things that need to be spoken in a way that is truthful, but, and direct, but she can do it either diplomatically or not, right? And so this is what I want to make sure to like bring to the forefront to think about, right? So just some things to consider with as like how you go forward, how you proceed, especially with the astrology as it's happening. We do also have, with this particular new moon, to start off this 2-week process, we have it in an aspect with Neptune that is, it could muddle, it could make the waters murky. So if you're feeling very strongly about something, that's another reason why I would take it slowly, like really sit with it, consider it, get the clarity that you need. I wouldn't just like act rashly, right? So that's what I would say about this. So I hope that this feels helpful. If you are wanting to book the year ahead readings with me, you can do that down below. So we have that for astrology and for tarot. If you want to do for astrology the whole year, we can see like, what is this year like activating for you? What are some things to look at on the horizon as far as like bigger themes that are going to be occurring going forward? And then also taking a look at if we want to focus on more on planning, if you're like, I don't need the whole year, but I want to, for planning purposes, focus on like the first quarter or the first 2 quarters quarters of the year, we can really do that for planning. And then also for tarot, we are looking at the year ahead in terms of like every month, what are the themes that are coming up for that. So that's what we would be looking at. If you want both, you can mention that in the notes when you go through the booking process, and we can talk about that as well. So I would say if you're wanting to make sure that you get in on that you book as quickly as you can to get in before the end of January. I feel like that's a prime time to really get in on doing these kinds of readings in terms of like planning at the beginning of the year and stuff. So I would say, yeah, take a look at the calendar, see what's available. It's going to continue to change because as I get bookings, I kept a bunch of spots open to give people maximum like availability. But as I get bookings, I will be closing out other open times that are on the calendar. So I would get in if you want to make sure that you get in before the end of January, probably soonish. And if you're wanting to get this as a gift for someone else, let me know. I'm happy to create like a gift certificate if you want to have something that you can print out for them. So anyhow, I hope this was all helpful. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.